Severe flooding struck Nakhon Si Thammarat province in southern Thailand in mid-November 2025 after several days of incessant heavy rain. This extreme rainfall was triggered by the confluence of a tropical monsoon system with a cold front from the north, bringing high humidity to the Gulf of Thailand. Since November 19th, rainfall has increased sharply, causing rivers to overflow, embankments to break, and water to inundate both urban and rural areas. On November 21st, Thailand's Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation reported that flooding had spread to 8 southern provinces, including Nakhon Si Thammarat as one of the worst affected areas. A total of 48 districts, 214 sub-districts, and more than 1,295 villages were inundated, with more than 124,000 households affected. Although no casualties were reported, the impact on daily life, infrastructure, and the economy was significant. In Nakhon Si Thammarat, water submerged homes up to waist-deep in water. Thousands of families had to evacuate to safer places, schools were closed, and economic activity was paralyzed. Main roads were cut off, bridges were damaged, and power was cut off in several villages. Rice paddies and rubber plantations, the community's primary source of livelihood, were also submerged, causing significant economic losses. Many traditional markets were unable to operate, fishermen were unable to go to sea, and the distribution of goods was halted due to disrupted transportation routes. The railway line connecting the southern region with Bangkok also experienced serious disruption due to flooding in several areas. In addition to Nakhon Si Thammarat, other affected provinces were Surat Thani, Phat Halong, Songkhla, Satan, Trang, Chumpon, and Prachuap Khiri Khan. In Surat Thani, 7 districts were designated disaster zones with water levels reaching 1 meter. A total of more than 359,000 people were affected by flooding across the southern region. The central government declared a full alert status and distributed emergency funds for infrastructure repairs and community assistance. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation deployed water pumps, rubber boats, and evacuation teams. The Thai military assisted in the distribution of food, medicine, and emergency tents. Local volunteers opened public kitchens and health posts. Residents used social media to coordinate aid, demonstrating strong solidarity amidst the crisis. The cause of this flooding was a combination of extreme rainfall resulting from the interaction of the monsoon system with a cold front, Nakhon Si Thammarat's low-lying and river basin topography, inadequate urban drainage, and deforestation in the upper reaches of rivers that accelerate runoff. These factors make the region highly vulnerable to major flooding. The government is committed to improving drainage systems, strengthening embankments, and increasing community preparedness. However, this flood serves as a reminder that climate change and infrastructure vulnerabilities require serious attention to prevent similar tragedies from recurring. The social impact of the flooding was severe. Many schools were closed due to flooding. The risk of infectious diseases increased, particularly diarrhea and skin infections. Residents demonstrated strong solidarity by opening their homes as temporary shelters. Although trauma from previous years' major floods still lingers, the community is trying to recover through a spirit of mutual cooperation. The local government is working with international organizations to distribute additional aid, including medicine and hygiene supplies. Health authorities warned of a potential increase in dengue fever cases due to stagnant water that serves as a breeding ground for mosquitoes. The chronology of the flooding is as follows. On November 19th, heavy rains began to lash southern Thailand. On November 20th, rivers in Nakhon Si Thammarat overflowed, inundating several villages. By November 21st, flooding had spread to 8 provinces, causing significant damage. On November 22nd, the central government declared a full alert and dispatched emergency aid. As of late November, flooding was still ongoing in several areas, although water levels had begun to recede in some areas. The recovery process is expected to take months, primarily to repair damaged infrastructure and restore the local economy. The massive floods that struck Nakhon Si Thammarat in November 2025 not only caused immediate losses in the form of submerged homes, damaged roads, and paralyzed economic activity, but also had long-term impacts that will continue to be felt by the community. In the coming months, the recovery process will be a major challenge. Thousands of families will have to repair their damaged homes, while others will lose their agricultural land, which is their primary source of livelihood. Flooded rice fields will take a long time to return to productivity, and damaged rubber plantations will reduce yields for several seasons. This means reduced incomes and increased economic uncertainty. Transportation and public infrastructure will also face serious consequences. Flood-damaged highways will require significant repairs, while collapsed bridges will hamper the movement of goods and people. Disrupted railway lines will impact the distribution of agricultural products and essential goods from the south to Bangkok. If repairs are not carried out quickly, prices of essential goods could soar, depressing public purchasing power and fueling social discontent. From a health perspective, remaining stagnant water will become a breeding ground for mosquitoes, increasing the risk of dengue fever. Furthermore, polluted water can trigger diarrheal diseases, skin infections, and respiratory problems. Hospitals and health centers will face a surge in patients, while medical personnel will have to work extra hard to prevent outbreaks. Local governments, along with international health agencies, need to distribute medicines, vaccines, and hygiene supplies to reduce the risk of post-flood epidemics. Socially, this flood has left deep trauma for the community, especially children who have lost schools and play areas. Many families have had to live in evacuation centers for extended periods, which can impact their psychological well-being. The solidarity that emerges during a disaster is indeed a powerful social capital. But if recovery is slow, frustration and distrust of the government can increase. This could fuel public demands for more serious disaster management and improvements to spatial planning. Environmentally, this flood demonstrates the vulnerability of the ecosystem in southern Thailand. Deforestation upstream accelerates water runoff, while urban development that neglects drainage systems exacerbates flooding. Unless serious steps are taken to improve environmental management, similar floods will continue to recur. Climate change, which triggers extreme rainfall, will also increase the frequency of disasters. Therefore, the government must strengthen mitigation and adaptation policies, including building stronger embankments, improving drainage systems, and rezoning flood-prone areas. The cultural impact cannot be ignored either. This flood will become part of the collective memory of the Nakhon Si Thammarat community, shaping a narrative of resilience and solidarity. Stories of residents helping each other will serve as inspiration, but also as a reminder that disasters can destroy lives in an instant. Local and national media will continue to highlight this story as a symbol of southern Thailand's struggle to cope with climate change. Thus, the Nakhon Si Thammarat flood is not just a momentary event, but a turning point that demands serious attention from the government, the public, and the international community. Future impacts include a long economic recovery, increased health risks, profound social trauma, heightened environmental vulnerabilities, and demands for stronger policies. This event serves as a reminder that preparedness, sustainable development, and adaptation to climate change are key to reducing the impact of future disasters.